Hello and welcome everyone to Climeon's investor update presentation as we published our Q4 report this morning. So today we will give you an update of what is ongoing in Climeon in the last quarter and also give you some opportunity to ask questions. And today it will be me, Lena Sundquist, CEO of Climeon, and also CFO Arnesson presenting. And what we will go through and cover today, first we will give a short background of Climeon as a company. Thereafter we will business area, followed by our energy and industry business area. Then we will go through what happens when it comes to our products and technology, including our supply chain and production. Then Carl will go through some key financials. Then after a short summary, we will open for questions and answers. And there it will be opportunities for you to ask both live questions, and we have also got a number of pre-registered questions, which we think it's really great that you ask us so many questions. And a number of these pre-registered questions we have also tried to include in the presentation as such. And then if we have not answered all of them throughout the presentation, then we'll take also some of them in the end. And the presentation part will be maximum 30 minutes, and then we open up the floor for your questions. So starting with Climeon. Climeon was founded in 2011, and what we do here at Climeon is that we have our heat power solutions. So we convert low temperature waste heat into sustainable power through our heat power systems that we have developed here at Climeon, and that we have a number of patents connection to it. We are around 45 employees, including consultants, and we have around 40 units in operation, 40 heat power units in operation. And the heat power unit we have in operation today is our heat power 150 units. During the last couple of years, we have been focused on a new system, heat power 300, where we have all our commercial activities focusing on. And this is a much more cost-efficient system, and it's also more adapted for the business areas that we focus on at Climeon. And we will come back to this product. And then to all our products, we also have a cloud-based monitoring system called Climeon Live. So we can monitor the performance of all our systems all over the world through this system to see how much power they are producing and how they are performing. And also our customers can monitor the performance of our system all the time through this Climeon Live system. We are mainly focusing on a number of applications area. One is marine, where we have most units in operation today. We are also focusing on power generation and mainly land-based engines, where our system is used to increase the power output from those installations. We also focusing on industrial installations, where we can increase the energy efficiency of industries by taking care of the waste heat and converting that to electricity. And we also have a number of installations in geothermal power, and we're also getting quite a lot of inquiries on new geothermal sites. And an update on what's a summary of the last quarter here at Climeon. In our maritime area, we got a new marine order, this time for existing ships. So this is really a breakthrough order where we install or will be installing our heat power 300 system on board existing ships, and that we will come back to. And the marine sales team here at Climeon is really active, working with a lot of both existing customers and new customers, And in the last quarter, they have also been on 2 different events, one in South Korea, in Busan, where most of the big shipyards are located in South Korea. And we were there together with an agent that we will continue working with. And also we have been on a number of visits in China, because there's a lot of activities now on the Chinese market for new build ships. Then within energy and industry, we're also working on a number of projects here, mainly focusing on Europe, and the applications that we mainly work in then is our focus areas. So within industry, power production, and also geothermal power plants. So we are actively working on a number of customer projects here. And we have also worked a lot with the units that we will be installing in Lithuania at Neo Group's site later on this year. And that we have also been working on from our R&D team and our product and technology team. So the first units now that we will be shipping to Lithuania, they have been produced, and they will be finally tested here at the Climeon test site and approved by the customers before being shipped to the site in Lithuania. And also within R&D, they have worked a lot with both customer-specific drawings and production drawings for the orders that we have already taken. They have also been working a lot to make sure that we adapt to all needs also for the customer projects that we foresee that we will get going further. So we have a number of customer sales projects that we're working with now, and the R&D team is then making sure that we fulfill all the legal requirements and everything needed in order for us to also get these orders going further. Within finance, Carl will come back to this area, but we are really happy that our rights issue was oversubscribed last year. We're working continuously with managing our cost level here at Climeon, and we are happy that we have this stable, that we have an efficient operation here and keeping that cost efficient. And then, as you might have seen last Friday, we announced that we had made agreement with Baseload Capital. And going forward, we and Baseload Capital will operate as 2 completely independent companies. And we think that this is the best way forward, both for us at Climeon and also for Baseload. And then we made an agreement together with them how this will work going forward. And Carl will come back to some details of that. So with this, we move forward to our marine business area. So why do we think this is an interesting area for us at Climeon? Within marine, all the ships in the world, they emit around 3% of global CO2 emissions. And it's a lot of focus within marine to make ships more energy efficient and for them to emit less CO2. Both that it comes new legislation in this area, both global ones and also regional ones. But there's also a lot of focus from ships to reduce the amount of fuel that they use on board. And that's also for cost reasons. And one of the things that's now being done in marine is also that in order to reduce CO2 emissions on board ships, they're also changing fuel. So a lot of the new ships and also existing ships will be using, for example, methanol in the future. And that is a more expensive fuel. And then there's even higher interest for ship owners to save that fuel. And that then it makes even more precious for them and higher value for them to save more on the fuel. So ship owners and shipyards is now looking for a number of solutions to make ships more energy efficient and saving fuel. And one of the things then really interesting in the marine world is to use some of the heat being produced by the engine, using that for producing electricity through heat power systems rather than buying or burning additional fuel in order to produce the same amount of electricity. So with our type of solution, we can save fuel and also make ships more energy efficient and make them reduce the amount of CO2 emissions. And we have designed our new Heat Power 300 system to be a really good fit for the marine market, both to live up to all different technical requirements and also to make a cost-efficient solution for ship owners. And a lot of ship owners, or most ship owners, they say that they want payback times of 5 years or less with our type of solution. And then that includes our system, cost of installation and cost of operating the system. So we have designed our new Heat Power 300 systems in order to meet those criteria. And we have also designed our system to be a good fit for the larger type of vessels, the ones with a lot of, or large engines, burning a lot of fuel, and then also producing a lot of waste heat. So there is around 1,500 to 1,700 new build ships being built per year, and we see that our system is a good fit for around 30% of that. So that gives us an addressable market of around 500 new build ships per year. Then, in addition to new build ships being built at shipyards around the world, it's the retrofit market, and that is existing ships. And we have not talked so much about that previously, but that is a huge market. There is around 90,000 existing ships in the world. All of them, of course, will not be addressable for us because some of them will be too old to update and some is not the right sizes. But there's thousands of ships that is interesting for us to put our system on also on existing ships. And it was an order like that that we took in December, and that is for installing our heat power system on board to existing container ships. And the order value is around 100 million euro. And these will be delivered from Climeon to this customer later on this year. And then, of course, we have got a lot of questions and comments about why have you not said the name of this customer? And I will give some background of that. How a project like this normally works is that first we have a lot of contacts with the technical departments and the project departments, that the one that will installing our system on board, they make a lot of design work to see how this solution fits. They also want to have our technical drawings so they can make design work and do an estimation of the cost of installing this system. And then when the technical department is okay with this and they made all the calculation and got all the information that they need, then it normally goes to a purchasing department of the customer. And then we have a lot of negotiation with them regarding all terms that should be in the contract. And then when we got the purchase order from the customer, we want to, of course, and when we're positive to this and happy with this, we want to accept it. And then for stock market rules, we need to get it out and publish that as soon as we can. And normally then to disclose the name of a huge company like this, then we need to get the approval from a totally different department. And sometimes it's not possible for us to do that in time for publishment because we need to publish this directly. And it's also extremely difficult to get approval from a huge corporation like this in order to disclose their name And it's even more difficult if we want to use their logo or get the quote from them. And then you can also always argue, yeah, but you had time after this. And with all our customers in the marine market, our biggest focus is to make the customers happy and deliver according to what is in the contract. And then, of course, also to get more orders from a customer like this, to work with more projects together. So over time, our ambition is, of course, to disclose the name of this customer. And this is, of course, the customer that we would like to continue work with and work with continuously. And then we have another order that we're working on in the marine industry, and that is an order that we have also received, and that is on a new build shipyard. That is in a new building shipyard in Korea. That is Maersk, that builds container ships at Hyundai Heavy Industries in South Korea. And this is now proceeding. We have sent over detailed customer documentation or project-specific customer documentation to this customer. And we've also started production planning and procurement of components and so on. So this is also continuing. And then in addition to this, then we're also continuously, as described in the beginning, working with getting new orders from the marine industry. We were doing a lot of activities to work both with existing customers and also new customers to get more orders from the marine industry. So there's a lot of activities around that, and our marine team is more or less traveling continuously in this aspect. And a lot of things is both happening with ship owners. The majority of the interesting ship owners for us is in Europe and also in Asia. And it is also there where most of the shipyards is. So most of the ship is being built in South Korea and China. So those are two markets we work a lot with. And then we are also, of course, working with existing installations, so our heat power 150 units, to make sure that we deliver spare parts and service these installations that we already have together with customers, as, according to plan, together with the customers. With that, we move over to energy and industry. So what we do here in energy and industry is more or less that we take the same type of product that we have for marine and also work here to find interesting customer projects with the Heat Power 300 product platform for the energy and industry market. And the driving forces here is that a lot of customers and industrial sites and developers see higher price of electricity. We see this in Europe, and it's the same all over the world, even though we have decided to mainly focus on the European market for the time being. It is also a lot of focus to get away from fossil fuel and be more energy independence, both from a country perspective, but also from individual industries. They want to buy less power from the grid, and for them it's a good solution and cost-efficient solution, and good for many reasons, to reuse the heat that they produce on their site and convert that to sustainable power. So we're working with a number of customer projects here. A lot of these projects takes quite a lot of time, because it's also here that they need to do a lot of work for planning installations and calculate that and getting the projects into their budgets and so on. So we are working on a number of projects here that we hope that we can talk more of and disclose more of as we move along. This is an order that we took last year, and it is for a plastic site in Lithuania. It's a 1.1 million euro order. It's 2 heat power 300 units. And those 2 units has now been produced. And we will do final testing of it at full flow of both waste heat and cooling, and prove that, or test them according to customer specification here at the test site in Kista at the Climeon headquarters. And then the customer will come over and do a so-called FIT test, factory approval testing, before these 2 units will be shipped to Lithuania, and they will be started up at this site later on this spring. And with this, we move over to product and technology. In our R&D department, they have been working with getting a lot of documentation ready, both detailed or customer or project specific documentation for the customer, so the customer can plan detailed installation of our unit. And they've also worked a lot with production documentation, because each unit or each set of units for a certain customer project has some variations, for example, about legal requirements, or depending on which marine classification society it is on that specific order. R&D has also done a lot of adaptations and variants of the units. It's quite small variants, but still, in order for us to have the unit ready for all of the projects that we see in our future project list, the projects that we work on to get from customers. So they have a lot of adaptations there. It's, for example, new marine approvals. We have approval already from 3 classification societies, marine classification societies, but we want to, of course, fulfill all of the ones that we have in our customer project list. Then R&D is also, of course, continuously improving the system, because if competitors will start to copy our units, we want to continuously make sure that we are in the forefront. So our system, so we continuously add some improvements that we see to the system. Then there has been a lot of work when it comes to supply chain as well, as we have started producing these units now. So we are continuously developing and strengthening cooperation with our sub-suppliers, working very close to them. And we are also, for all of our components, looking into double sourcing. As I mentioned, we have produced the first 2 units for the Thermolink on the site in Lithuania. And we have done a lot of project planning and documentation and component procurement for also all of the other projects that we have taken. So with this, I would leave over to Carl for some key financials.
Thank you, Lena. Hello, everyone. I will touch base on a number of activities and areas within the financial field here, including cost control, production, and our cash flow. Finally, I will also give some light to the newly announced agreement regarding baseload capital. Next slide, please. Thank you. In Q4, our operational cost declined by 11% compared to Q4 2022. And we also saw a corresponding development for the full year 2023. We are challenging our cost base continuously, which also includes to not grow the number of employees. We are, I think I mentioned that a few times before, that we are able to deliver on all our current customer projects with the current workforce. During the quarter, we saw some increased costs related to the startup of the assembly of the modules mentioned. That affected the quarter to some extent, but that is also something that we're aiming to gain from during the production ramp up in 2024 and onwards. Next slide, please. In addition to the operational costs, we have and are currently working intensively to make improvements in our assembly processes, including sourcing of components and the logistics. And to improve the margins on Heat Power 300 going forward, that is, of course, an always-on exercise in our business. But during the quarter, we've intensified the cooperation with our assembly partner and also conducted several supplier audits and negotiations. And that are actions that we naturally can benefit from at upcoming production. Of course, the first modules produced are a bit more complex and expensive than the ones in a more normal series production. And we also, for these first modules for the Thermalink project, we will also put extra in-house testing and verification for these modules in order to ensure high quality and customer satisfaction. Yet we see profitable business cases already now. Next slide, please. During the quarter, our cash flow was, of course, strengthened by the rights issue that was carried out during Q4, and the subscription period for the warrants included in the units that is planned for in June 2024. More on that shortly. During the quarter, we also started off the production of Heat Power 300, as mentioned, and that affected our cash flow to some extent already in Q4, since we have produced these units a bit longer in advance than normally. And that is, as I mentioned earlier, that we want to facilitate some extra testing and verification, since these are the first commercial units or the first units for commercial use. If we compare the cash development in 2023 versus 2024, we've been at the same level year on year, mainly due to higher working capital as we prepared for the upcoming production of units. That has been compensated by a lower CapEx level in 2023 compared to the year before, as the most intense product development now is over. Aside to this, we are, as mentioned, continuously working on our cost base in order to improve the cash outflow for 2024. And I would also like to put some emphasis on the fact that new customer orders are the best way for us to strengthen our cash flow during this year and the followings. So that is the plan going forward in our strive towards profitability. Next slide, please. Yes, I will also take the chance to give some more information to the upcoming subscription period for the warrants that were issued within the rights issue last quarter. Just some highlight and details on that matter. Each unit that were issued consisted of 6 shares and 3 warrants, where each warrant entitles the owner to subscription of 1 new B share. The subscription period for the warrants will be June the 3rd until June the 17th this year. Sorry. And the exercise price for these will be 70% of the weighted average price, or the WAP, that will be set during the end of May, 10 days at the end of May. This means a 30% discount on the actual share price. And please also note that the warrants are currently already traded on the stock market, so those are already available there. And more information can be found on our webpage. And we will, of course, also publish more information and details about this during the spring. Next slide. Thank you. Also, finally, I will give some details about the agreement that were announced last week. This agreement are covering our shareholding in baseload capital and some non-commissioned HP 150 or heat power 150 units. And Climeon has entered into this agreement in line with our intention to divest our entire shareholding in baseload over time. So that is our intention. In the initial deal, Climeon will divest a share of our shareholding in baseload, but we will also purchase a number of heat power 150 units, and that enables us to secure the future spare parts availability for the units that are already in operation. This agreement also includes a write-down of a previous order related to a geothermal project in Taiwan. That now means that our order book now only consists of heat power 300 orders, plus a minor share of non-delivered heat power 150 services that are about to be delivered during this year. The second part of the agreement involves a call option that Climeon have issued for our remaining shares after the initial divestment. This call option will be valid for a specified period and at an exercise price of approximately 44 million SEK, which is also in line with our book value for the shares as per December 31st, 2023. So this can, of course, then in the future lead to a possible positive cash flow effect in the future. Yes, thank you. Lena, hand over to you again.
Thank you, Carl. So with that, we continue with a summary. So these are the 4 focus areas for us that we have been focusing on and that we will continue to focus on. So we focus a lot on our maritime business area, where we have a dedicated team working to secure new orders and spread the word around the heat power 300 to the whole maritime community, but with a lot of focus, of course, on ship owners and shipyards. Within energy and industry, we're working on a number of customer projects, mainly focusing on the European market, where we can help the customers to become more energy efficient, save electricity, and save CO2 emissions in a cost-efficient way. Within product and technology, we are working hard to make sure that our units fulfills all the customer requirements. They already do for the orders that we have taken, but also making sure that we are also in line with all the futures orders that we see in our project lists. We're also here working a lot with our production and supply chain, making sure that that is cost efficient and working according to plan. And in finance, we are working on a number of things, just like Carl presented. And with this, I would like to open up for questions and answers. And as always, we hand over this session to a moderator. And today we will have a new moderator who is Olle Bergström. So with that, I hand over for you, Olle, to take this session off.
Thank you very much, Lena, and thanks you, Carl, for a really interesting presentation, and happy to be here. We will, as always, bring in questions from you. We have some pre-registered questions that we will go through, And feel free to write in the chat, but also since we really want to interact and talk to you, it's even more fun if you raise your hand and we switch on your camera and mic and you can talk to us and the other shareholders directly. We will try to shift a bit between covering the pre-registered questions and the ones that you are sending in. And we have one already now in the chat. Thank you very much for that. It says, what are you going to make the orders more available and visible to a broader audience? Asking it you, Lena.
Yeah, so the orders that we have taken is of course the best way of getting more orders. And for the marine industry, it's, I would not say simple or easy, but it is quite easy because in the marine community, it's quite not a closed community, but it's a community where people know each other. So if we get an order with Maersk, for example, or if we get an order with Hyundai Heavy Industries, and when we publish that, we got adverts in sort of all maritime magazines, and everyone in the industry is looking into what big players like Maersk and Hyundai Heavy Industries is doing. So I would say more or less the whole marine industry knows what we are doing, and we're getting a lot of new inquiries. So we have discussions with more or less all container ship owners and all shipyards building these type of ships. So that's a community where the word around Climeon and heat power is very well spread and known. And then we of course want to follow up with them, and we meet with these customers and have interaction with them and go through our solution more in detail. So that is what we do and will be continuously doing in marine. And we will also be present in a number of marine exhibitions in this year around the world. Then in energy and industry, it's more difficult and more challenging to spread the word about what it's doing, because it's not the same channels there. It's more diversified. So if we get a customer in Lithuania in a PET recycling plant, in a plastic plant for PET plastics, which is one of the largest producer of PET plastics in Europe, it is not sure that any other industries in Europe knows about that. So there is a lot of work for us to spread the word about this. So we're doing a lot of marketing and also advertising, targeted towards customers that we think it's interesting. And we're doing a lot of also marketing activities in that field, and we're getting in a lot of inquiries just through our website and our inbox of customers that is interested about our solution, because it's so much focus now on energy savings and producing sustainable power. And then we're also, of course, taking contact with customers that we want to have projects together with. So that is what we're doing in our different business areas when it comes to marketing and spread the word around these orders.
Thank you very much, Lena. Clearly very customer focused, which we of course like in the shareholder community. But also, are you having any thoughts around spreading, making orders and progress more visible to the capital market and shareholders? So what's your thinking around that?
We are doing some activities around that. Of course, we have had some last year. We had some in some of the business press. We had some articles, and we are also participating in a number of events. So also this spring we will be visible in a number of, or presenting in a number of investor events on different stages, both in Stockholm and in other countries. And then we normally also spread the world and the message around all of this in our social medias. So the best way of following what's happening in Climeon is to connect through our LinkedIn channels, and we will of course over time be more visible around what we are doing.
Thank you. Here's a question from Anne. Congratulations to the baseload negotiations plus agreement. Do the maritime orders require any customer-specific adaptations, customizations more than originally expected? And if so, can you maintain margins?
Yeah, we have developed the Heat Power 300 platform to be a good solution, both technical-wise and also from a cost perspective for the larger type of vessels on the marine market. So large container vessels, large cruise ships, other type of large, for example, VLCC ships with kind of oil tanker ships that has large engines, a lot of waste heat and so on. And the Heat Power 300 system, it is designed as a product platform. So we have a number of variations to it. And now we come into a lot of technical details, but for example, they have different type of connections on each ship. So it can be G standard or DIN standard, and that we can adapt to. And it is also, for example, different type of electrical standard. So it can be different type of voltages on various types of ships, and that we already have included in our product platform. And there is also, for example, a number of different marine type approval. So now we have design approval from DNV, the Norska Veritas, we have it from Lloyd's Register, and we have it for ABS. And there's small variations around that as well. But the large parts of our Heat Power 300 product platform will be the same regardless of type of vessel it will be installed on, because most of the engine rooms look quite similar. So we have designed the system to be as adaptable as possible and standardized as possible, with then some small variations that I mentioned.
Thank you. Last year, you took a quite fantastic order from both Hyundai Heavy Industries, world's largest shipyard, and Maersk. So what does it mean to the team internally, and what impact do you see from the maritime market and other customers or potential customers?
Yeah, I think internally it was according to expectations. Then it's of course fantastic when we actually signed the order, because this is an order that we worked with for a very, very long time. So sometimes when we work with these orders, it's more like frustration on time internally why it takes so long time. But then it's of course fantastic when we can sign the order and get that sort of sign off and can send it out. But then the whole team here is so eager on just working on the other order. So it's fantastic to do this, but it's a very, very you could say target-oriented team here at Climeon. So with a high ambitious team. So then we want to work with getting more orders, of course. Externally then on the maritime market, it's made huge effect, because everyone is coming to us in the marine market when we go to exhibitions in Korea, for example, or meet with other suppliers, like, how did you achieve to get that order, is a typical questions we have. And then everyone wants to talk to us. So it has made a lot of impact, of course, in the marine market to get an order like that.
Very good. I see we have a hand up here from Richard Troke. Richard, it dropped again. Richard, do you still want to come in view and microphone? Then please raise it up.
Is
All
it
right.
off? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. It really goes back to your original question that you're a company that's at a maturity now, as you've said yourself, that you are very well known in the market and everyone is coming to you. So the key for Climeon must now be speed of sales. Must be now speed of sales. That is the absolute focus to strengthen your cash flow. Just as a comment which came out of your presentation on the maritime, it appears you seem to go step by step when you're dealing with a customer. Namely, you start off at the technical level and then work your way through, so it then, I presume, gets through or is presented to a board. I'm just questioning if, because of your maturity, you will have, I'm sure, a standard contract and standard, as I call, rules of the game as what has to be done. Do you actually say to these customers up front, right, this is the approach we adopt and this is what needs to be done? And the other question is the approach generally to the technical, because the key to this game of sales is getting to the right person first within a company. And that may not necessarily be the technical team. But these are just observations. But for me, looking at a business, speed of sales now is absolutely key. And we're seeing some initial orders which are in single-digit million euro deals. So we would be expecting the follow-on to be much larger. But from a cash flow viewpoint, a 1 or 3 million euro order has to be a lead-in for much bigger orders coming through. So these are just general comments, but is this speed of sales for me, which is the absolute key, and how you tackle that to get to the key people quickly? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good question. I will try to answer that. Of course, we are focusing a lot of our sales activities, and that's why also we have 2 salesperson within the management team. So we have Fredrik focusing and his team focusing 100% on the marine market, and we have Patrick and his team focusing 100% on the energy and industry market. And then one of the sort of sub questions, I will start with that because that was on the actually size of the orders. And I mean, normally on the marine market, a shipyard, for example, build a number of ships at the same time, and that is then included in a project. So they're building, for example, in the case of Hyundai Heavy Industries, they were building 6 ships for Maersk. And then the order that we are negotiating then is those ships. And that's how it is for all suppliers. They are not interested in that time to negotiate more orders. But then as we have got this order and they have made an audit of us in the end of the sales project, then we're approved supplier. So then we can, of course, expect it to get quicker the next time. So we're an approved supplier of both Maersk and also Hyundai Heavy Industries because they have made their whole audit process of us. And speed of sales then is a number of things. We don't necessarily start with a technical team. We start with other ones within a customer that would be the one that having the mandate to sign off this order. But that person or that manager or that high person in the hierarchy of a customer, they want to have their own sort of business plan of that order. So they are then asking their technical team to please dig into this technology and give me sort of a specification and a payback evaluation of what is this costing for us to buy, to get into our ships, and what is the cost of operation and so on. And then there's a lot of work for us together with their technical team because they all want to make their own evaluation of that. And then it comes back to decision makers. And that is when a process is only within a ship owner, for example, But then if it's a new built ships, we have the sales projects ongoing, both with the ship owner and the shipyard. But there are several steps which we have to go through in order for us to start from the first evaluation or the first contact with the new customer until we can sign the order. So we all, of course, have the ambition to sign off orders faster and faster, but there is quite a long time from a new project starting until we can sign that order off.
Thank you very much, Richard, and thanks for the answer, Lena. We have a pre-registered question that connects a bit to the two previous ones, and that's, Lena, if you can describe the competitive situation in the maritime industry a bit. What's so good with you, and why do you win orders, and is there someone else that can also win some orders, or yeah?
Yeah.
How do you see it?
Yeah. Yeah, the competitive landscape is a bit different when it comes to marine and to our energy and industry market. But if we take this on marine then as an example, we see now, and a lot of other suppliers see that we are opening up a new market here, waste heat recovery on board ships. That has not been so many overseas systems put on board ships before, especially not commercial orders. It might have been some pilots or some test installations before, but now we have opened up a new market with commercial installations. So we are seeing today that there is a couple of other European suppliers on this market actively presenting their product. We meet them in exhibitions, and sometimes when we are discussing with customers, we understand that some of our competitors have been there before. Sometimes our customers say which competitors there's been there, and sometimes we understand that from the type of questions that we get. And what differs us from the competitors that we have today is that we have designed our system so we don't need to include steam on board the ships. So we have designed the system to be efficient by only using the hot water from the engine. And I will not explain this any further because then we come into a lot of technical details, but that makes our system more cost efficient to install in comparison to our main competitor. And also there is less and less steam available on board ships. So with this, we can make sure that our total system or system solution, including our system, including cost of installation and operational cost, is more cost efficient than the competitors that we see today. But then in the future, as this market broadens and it will be a bigger market, I foresee, and that is normally what happens on the marine market, that some Asian low-cost competitors will enter. And that's why it's also so important for us to be one step ahead all the time, to make sure that our system is even better than today from a technical point of view, and that we have a really cost-efficient supply chain and work continuously with that in order for us also to, in the future, meet low-cost Asian competitors on this market.
Yes, and let's shift more financial question in here. Thanks, Lena. And if we direct this to you, Carl, we have been talking about the capital you raised, the plan of raising a bit more, and also the possibility of selling some baseload shares. And it's a difficult question, but all in all, how long do you expect the cash to last?
Yes, of course, it's a good question. I think we've commented that a bit in our Q4 report. As you know, we now have a strengthened cash balance compared to what we had before, and we also have the upcoming subscription period for warrants. And what we see is that, you know, normally you comment on the outlook on the coming 12 months, and what we see is that we have sufficient funds for financing the company for the upcoming 12 months at least.
Yes, thank you very much. And then we have a question regarding the size of the retrofit market. You had some distinct numbers of the new build, but is there some similar number on the retrofit market?
Yes, I'll take that question. In general, the retrofit market is huge. I mean, the number of ships in the world is around 90,000 ships. Then the majority of those number of ships will not be available for us because they will be too old, so it's not worthwhile to do any new installations on them, or it's not the right size of us or for us. But it is thousands of ships that is a market potential for us. And it's also now great when we have signed the first order for retrofit, and when we talked about adaptations or variations before in our technical solutions, there is some variations also when it comes to retrofit. So for example, the whole heat power 300 unit cannot be installed as such in a new build ships. So we will actually divide it in a number of some different main pieces, and then we install it in pieces on board the ships, and then we build it together. So it is more complicated to do a retrofit installation than to install it at the new building site. But now, together with this customer that we signed this with, we have got some good numbers on how challenging or how expensive it is to install this type of system on board the ships. But we can see now that a large part of this existing retrofit market with thousands of ships open up for us now when we have signed this first retrofit order.
Thank you very much. We have time for one more question here before wrapping up. Let's take one from Martti Kosonen. Is Climeon leaving the geothermal market now with the baseload deal, or how do you see it?
Okay, I can take that question. I mean, the geothermal market is really, really, really big, and baseload is one player on this market. They are doing a really great job. But with this deal or this agreement that we made with baseload, it is for baseload to work as an independent company and for us to work as an independent company. And we think that that is better for both of us. Then they can be more free to work with any type of technical solution they want, and we can work with all types of customers on the geothermal market. And there is a number of geothermal projects ongoing now on the marine market, or on the European market. There's a number of geothermal projects there now. A lot of them is for huge, large installations with higher inlet temperature than what we normally have when we work in low temperature. But even for our type of solution and our type of solution, there is a number of interesting geothermal projects for us now on the European market. Last Friday, we had a delegation here from an Asian country, which is working a lot developing geothermal projects. So we are still getting a lot of interest from geothermal players. So we just think that this deal with baseload was good for us to work as an independent company, and then we are free to work with anyone, and they are free to work with anyone.
Thank you very much, Lena. Thanks you in the audience for calling in, and if you don't get the newsletters, make sure to register on the Climeon website, then you get invitations to sessions like these. And any remaining questions you didn't get answered, please feel free to send them to the investor relations email. So with that, thank you very much. Handing back to you, Lena, for closing the meeting.
Yeah. Thank you all of you for attending this investor update. Great questions. We normally do this investor update, so we will do it also in connection with our Q1 report later on. But the best way of keeping update what's happening at us as Climeon is actually to follow us on LinkedIn. There we try to publish ongoing information about us at Climeon. So with that, thanks again all of you for attending, and we will do our best going forward also to, of course, get more orders and proceed with our plans. Thanks all of you.
Thank you.